All right, are we finally live? We finally going? Okay. Sorry, guys. This is probably like the third time I tried to get a podcast started, so I apologize for early troubles. Welcome to NASCAR Backmarker Battles. I am your host of the show, Colby Evans. As you guys can tell, I'm a little bit more bippy than I was last Thursday. Last Thursday, didn't honestly know what I had. I was slightly under the weather, had a horrible weekend of health problems. But I'm a little bit better right now. So we're here to talk about some racing. We're at one of my all-time favorite NASCAR tracks, Darlington. And we're also here to talk about this weekend's Backmarker Battles preview show for Kansas. So not the biggest show ever, but still a fun show nonetheless. Plenty of races to talk about, plenty of things to talk about, and plenty of things to preview. Like I said, guys, it's going to be a fun show. We're going to let a few more people file in here. I'm going to go through my little intro as we get some more people filing in here, and yep, we'll get right into Darlington. So, like you said, you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications, so you guys never miss a podcast when we go live. Follow me on Twitter, social media, Start and Park Car. You guys know the drill there. For all ARCA tweets, low budget tweets, all the other fun crap you guys know I tweet. And of course, check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR media related content. Like I said, still not 100%, but I'm a lot better. So Darlington. I would say one of my top three favorite ovals on the NASCAR circuit. One of my all-time favorite tracks to race on in racing games, just because of how unique it is, the tire wear, the unique lines, how you can change your line literally every single lap. It's just such a fun track. Everything about Darlington I love. I wish the Truck Series would come back. You know, I know the Truck Series came back randomly for those couple years, but I really wish the Truck Series would come back. That series, I know they tore up a lot of stuff, would come back another time. The Truck Series, I wish they would go there twice a year. I know they tear up a lot of stuff in those races, but I wish the Truck Series would race twice a year at Darlington, because it would just make for fun racing. But I wish the Truck Series would come back for a second date. I know they only come for one, but I wish they came back for two. So it was just Cup and Xfinity this time around. We had the usual Xfinity race, the 147 lapper, one of the shorter Xfinity races of the year, at just a 200-mile distance. Then you had the Southern 500, the Big Daddy, one of the largest Cup races of the entire year. One of the largest Cup races of the entire year. One of the crown jewel wins, so you know it's one of those everyone wants to win. And yeah, like I said, that was pretty much it. Obviously, we got the ARCA race. We'll cover that on Thursday, but I was kind of watching both, so it was kind of hard to take notes at the same time because I was focusing on the ARCA race while also watching the Cup race. But we'll start off with the Xfinity race. The VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero 200, one of the longer names, but still fun names. We had 39 cars here for 38 spots. Some of the oddball entries we had. Dawson Cram was actually in the 44 this week. We had the Hendrick entry with Kyle Larson. Patrick Emmerling was in the 35. Timmy Hill and MBM were back together, so that was good to see. Matt Mills was back in the 53. Ross Chastain was back in the 91. Chad Fincham was making his debut in the 08. Stephon Parsons was back in the 07. Raja Cruz was back in the 45. And Corey Heim was back in the 24. We were a little skeptical last week on who was going to miss the show. I did not think it was going to be the 66 on last week's show. I'm like, with Timmy, Darlington is a driver's track. Even in a lower tier car, Darlington really is a driver's track. So if you're not in the best equipment, if you really know how to attack a track like Darlington, you would be surprised how fast you can actually go compared to cars who have way more funding than you. And I feel like we really did see that in qualifying where people, maybe people who were in great cars did not qualify that good because of their lack of experience at Darlington. Whereas for some people, like Timmy, who have, Timmy's been racing Darlington for over 10 years from Xfinity and Cup races and even truck races. So he knows how to attack this track hard. And I feel like that was going to be the advantage for MBM. They struggled a little bit with Splitter hitting the track in practice. I was listening to 66 radio the whole time. Only 38 of the 39 cars took a practice lap. 35, it was unclear why he didn't take a practice lap, but 35 was locked in the show either way. Some surprises in practice, and this kind of also mattered of when you got out on track. I believe when you get out on a fresh Darlington, you go faster than some of the other cars. So we had pretty competitive cars all mixed up through the field. We had Allgaier down in 24th. Sheldon Creed, although he did spin in practice, he still made 7 laps and only managed 27th. Ross Chastain down in 30th, despite being in a DGM car. Josh Williams, who's usually, top 25, top 20, he was all due respect, he was junked this weekend. I mean, he was 38th. Very rarely to see Josh Williams the slowest car on the grid. Dawson Cram and Raja Karuth were 21st and 22nd. So to be honest with you, going into qualifying, I didn't think that the 44 was going to be the DNQ. Spoiler alert. But I didn't think the 44 was going to be the DNQ, much less one of the slower cars. Slowest cars in qualifying, despite practicing top 25. Timmy was 34th, so I'm like, we got a shot. If Timmy can just get a clean lap and gain a little bit of speed, we have a shot at making the field. And he did. Timmy picked up quite a bit from practice, ran a very solid lap, and we sorry there. We were able to beat like I said, we were able to beat the cars, actually more than beat enough cars, not just 33rd. We made it all the way up to 29th. The cars in question that we did beat, the 08, 38, 02, 43, 92, 35, and 44. And 26. Yes, we actually beat Kaz Grala. So, kind of says that says a lot about Kaz Grala, doesn't it? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All the Kaz Grala fans, don't get mad at me. But yeah, Dawson, he ran a 30-94 in qualifying, and in practice he ran a 30-51. So he definitely slowed down a bit from his practice lap. Watched the qualifying lap over again. Couldn't really point out what went wrong on his qualifying lap, to be honest with you. I watched his, maybe I just, obviously I wasn't looking hard enough, but Dawson's lap looked just fine. I'm not sure why he went so much slower. If he got loose, it didn't look like he got loose. It didn't look like he hit the wall. But for some reason, his lap was 4/10 slower than what he ran in practice. And just for reference, had he ran the exact same time in practice, Dawson in practice ran a 30-54. Had he ran that lap in qualifying, a 30-54 actually would have made the race. So think about that. They had speed. The 44 car itself had speed. Had Dawson ran the exact same lap that he ran in practice, he actually would have made the show. And the car to go home, I believe, would have been... No, the 53 would have been in. I think the zero... No, I think it would have been the 43... No, it would have been the 35. 35 would have been the car to go home had the 44 made the race. So, real unfortunate for Dawson Cram and the 44 team. That is now, 4 DNQs for the 44 this season. And it's kind of sad because the 44 was actually supposed to be the primary car for Alpha Prime this season. It was supposed to have Jeffrey Earnhardt in it full time. That was supposed to be the primary team. Then you had the 43 with Ryan Ellis, who was running about 95% of the schedule in that car, with 5 guys filling up the rest of the season. And then you had the 45 car, which was just the open car, which had, pay drivers left and right, Sage Karam at the road courses, and then other guys down the line. And it's just, obviously with Jeffrey's deals, Jeffrey's losing the sponsorship. It's just kind of been a mess. And you can, I'm not saying that the cracks are there. There's no cracks. I believe it's just, and we said it at the beginning of the season. And I mean this in the nicest possible way. I do believe this is a case of spreading yourself too thin before you're ready. Alpha Prime Racing last year with 2 cars, in my opinion, was solid. I think they really hit the jackpot there with 2 cars. And I'm not saying that they should not have expanded to a 3rd car at all, but maybe not on a full-time basis. I don't think they should have expanded to a 3rd car on a full-time basis. Maybe a part-time basis. It wouldn't have been a bad thing to run. I think having the 44 full-time, of course, with Jeffrey. And then you could have the 43 as another full-time car, and then you could have the 45 be a part-time car. So, but obviously the money was there. If you go back to the beginning of the season, Jeffrey at the beginning of the season had the full season sponsorship. Ryan Ellis at the beginning of 2023 had 28 of the 33 races sold. Then you go to the 45 car. They had so many pay drivers already lined up to the 45. The money appeared to be all there and perfectly there, but unfortunately, it just hasn't gone the way it hopes. And I hate it because I got a lot of friends who work for Alpha Prime Racing. One of my best friends in the garage works for Alpha Prime Racing as one of their tire guys. He's a lovely guy. And, obviously TJM, I've loved TJM ever since his days in the 76 car, like 2014 when he ran the Dodges, when he was like one of the last guys to still run zombie Dodges. Yeah, so I've been a Tommy Joe Martins fan for a long time, and I don't want to see this team fail. Well, at the end of the day, I know it sucks we don't see Tommy Joe in the car, but sometimes you just got to take yourself out, so keep the team going. But yeah, so that sucked to see Dawson go home. It's the 5th DNQ overall for the organization this season, 4 for the 44 car and 1 for the 45. If you guys were curious what that was, if you remember, Jeffrey Earnhardt failed to qualify for the Chicago street race in the 45 car. So yeah, definitely a big setback for Alpha Prime. It really sucked too because they were running Petty Enterprise throwbacks this weekend. And it's amazing how the lower budget teams always seem to have cooler throwbacks than the high budget teams. We had a 2000 Adam Petty Sprint tribute car. We had a 2001 Cheerios car for John Andretti, the late John Andretti. And I was hoping, my fingers were crossed that they would do a Buckshot Jones Georgia Pacific 44th. It fit perfectly. And unfortunately, I guess they said maybe due to some sponsors, they didn't want it, and they went with a Kyle Petty Georgia Pacific Brawny car from like 2004. Still a great-looking car, nonetheless. Still a great-looking car, but we could have had the whole trifecta right there of a Buckshot throwback. And I know people have done the Buckshot throwback before, but we missed the chance right there to have the full Petty Enterprise lineup from that specific year. Yeah, so it's kind of sad overall. It really sad. And I hate it for Dawson, too, because, poor kid. I mean, he's trying his best with that 74 team, CHK, and he's DNQ'd so many races this year. And Dawson's a good driver. He really is a good driver. Dawson's a good kid. It's just a shame, his family team just kind of ran out of money because there was something going there with Cram Racing in the truck series, but unfortunately, they just kind of ran out of money and had to sell off their stuff, which really sucks. So again, guys, sorry, I'm still dealing with a cough. Some of the other great underdog stories from qualifying. Again, it's kind of hard for the underdogs to do well at a track like this, but we had a couple do decent. We had Ross Chastain again. That's a DGM car. They probably got a better motor in that car with Chastain in it, but it's still a DGM shop car. 21st, Raja was 22nd. Alfredo was 23rd. Jeremy Clements 26th. So not horrible qualifying runs. Stefan was 27. Like I said, Timmy 29th. So it's not some bad underdog qualifying runs. We did have some cup ringers, like I said. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson were in this race that were going to be in the cup race as well. Kyle Busch in the 10 car. I will say this. I know we talk about backmarkers here, but I did want to bring this up for just a brief moment. Has Kyle Busch exposed Kaulig for being a mid-Xfinity team? It's no disrespect, but it's something I've wanted to point out. Kaulig, I don't know, man. What is it with this team? They appear high budget. They're high budget, but outside of plate tracks and AJ Allmendinger, they really haven't won anything. AJ Allmendinger, in my opinion, was the best thing to ever happen to this organization. I know AJ Allmendinger has won on the ovals, but who else for them has won on ovals? I mean, did Justin Haley ever win on a non-plate track oval? Chandler won Richmond. I mean, yeah, but I don't feel like they still haven't done that well. I mean, even you look at Chandler's season after his win, he hasn't done much. But has Kyle Busch in some ways exposed the team for not being, honestly, as high class as I feel like they are? Kyle Busch, in every Kaulig race he has ran this year, I don't feel like has done anything. So I don't know. It's just so weird to see Kyle Busch in an Xfinity race, and I forgot Kyle Busch was in this race until I looked at the race results and I realized he was in the 10. They didn't mention him literally the entire race. So it's so weird seeing Kyle Busch in an Xfinity race and literally nothing. Just wanted to talk about that real quick. It's weird. It's really weird. I know we talk about backmarkers, but I just wanted to bring that up real quick. It was really odd to me. So the race gets going. Timmy, within the first 6-7 laps, immediately falls back to 38th last. The car, I can just tell on the radio, he's not exactly happy with it. He wasn't like running slow lap times, but it was just like just wasn't happy with the car. He was kind of keeping pace with the 35 and the 92 and the 02. Everyone was just kind of riding, like I said, this is the first stage at Darlington. It's not the longest stage, We rode around for about 12 laps. Not much happened. Jonathan Nemechek obviously sailed out front. We had our first accident of the day, 12 laps in, Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith, also another guy who's had a season that I feel like has kind of been underwhelming. I know Dale Jr. I know Sammy Smith won, a race this year, but I still feel like he's another guy who's had kind of a season that maybe I wish would have went better. I know he's had some great finishes, but I expected wins, way more wins than he only has right now. He only got one. So he spun out. And the sad part is that, at a track like Darlington, any kind of damage you have to the nose, it kills your day. And Sammy had some slight damage to the front of his nose, and it really did hurt his day. He still managed to come back, spoiler alert. He managed to come back and finish 17th, but any kind of damage you have to your car screws it up at Darlington. So that was pretty much the end of his day, and realistically, the car was not going to be competitive after that point. Noticing through the second run we had for 27 laps, Josh Williams, I tell you, this was probably the most surprising thing of the entire weekend. Josh Williams was arguably the slowest I have ever seen him ever in an Xfinity car. And at this stage, DGM is still top 20, top 25 caliber every week. And Josh Williams even came on the radio and said, I don't think I've ever had to deal with something like this before. Being the first car getting caught by the leaders. I don't think Josh Williams has ever had to deal with that before. I mean, he literally was the last car in line. At this point, even Timmy had passed him. Josh Williams was literally the last car. I have never seen this car so slow. I've never seen the 92 this slow. I don't know what it was. I can tell you it certainly wasn't Josh. Josh was better than that. Not trying to be rude to the team, but man, boy, did you guys miss the setup. And again, I got guys who work on that. I got friends in the garage who work on that 92 car, and I'm trying to be cordial, but it's like, boy, they were junk this weekend. They probably knew that. But, man, I did not expect the 92 to be junk this weekend. I expected Josh to have his usual top 20, top 25 performance he usually gets out of Darlington. But, man, he was absolute junk. And then, of course, to add insult to injury, as I was, tweeting about it, let me take a sip of water real quick, guys. Of course, as we were talking about it, then all of a sudden Josh loses a tire. So it's like, God dang, not only are you the slowest car, now you actually are going to really be the slowest car, missing the fender. So it's like, God, bad day gone to worse for Josh. I just felt bad for them. I love Mario. Everyone knows, if you longtime watcher of this show, y'all know I love Mario Gosselin. I've been a follower of Mario Gosselin for a long time. So I'm never going to bury Mario Gosselin's team ever on this show. But even you got to be honest sometimes when you have to say that 92 car, even before the tire damage, was junk. But they did bring out the next caution for, like I said, lots of damage. Pretty much ended their day. I mean, they finished the race. They started 37th, finished 37th, but pretty much ended their day of any chance of a good run or even finishing above 35th because they lost so many laps on pit road trying to get it fixed. Again, guys, I apologize for the coughing. I just still not over my health problems from the weekend. But yeah, race got going again after that. So again, some underdogs that were able to do good. Chad Fincham, I will say Chad Fincham really was kind of the star of the Backmarker show, in my opinion. Same with Stefan. This was probably overall the best race continuously I saw SS Greenlight make. Both cars consistently in the top 25 the entire day. Chad, in my opinion, did a great job for his first time out. What those thoughts on Ryan Huff? We'll talk about that on Thursday. For Chad, for his real, second or third start of the year, he really haven't made many races this year. He did a great job. We all know Stephon Parsons is a beast. So probably a weekend that SS Greenlight Racing desperately needed, honestly, having both cars in the top 25. I think it's the first top 20 of the year for the 07. So, yeah, a run that the team desperately needed. A couple more debris cautions. Really, the only incident we had the whole race was the 51 and the 28 spinning each other out on the front stretch, which really sucks because, again, I love Kyle Sieg. I feel like Kyle Sieg's one of the most underrated drivers in the field. And Jeremy Clements, a backmarker that everybody respects because they're one of the few teams that still build their own engines on a weekly basis. They've started to get some other motors as of late, but they're still one of the few teams that are still building their motors at a high level and still doing pretty well with it. Yeah, I know. Chad was running top 10 at one point in the race. Yes. I think Chad's a lot better than people think he is. He just doesn't have the money to compete up front, unfortunately, for a top tier ride. Even though he did own a Gibbs car at one point, driving for an MBM. So, yeah, we had the 39 of Sieg spun out. Then we had the 48 get spun out by Sam Mayer. That was hilarious. The number one just absolutely flew into turn 3 and spun the 48 right out. Again, that was, like I said, pretty funny. And through this, MBM had actually played some fun pit strategy. They were 2 laps down at one point, and Carl, he's a gambling man. Carl's the gambler. He took the wave around, got that lucky caution, and got the wave around again. So 2 lucky cautions for the 66 that actually put them back on the lead lap. So it actually put them ahead of cars that they were, battling, like the 35, 02, and 92, and locked them into a pretty, well, for what that car is, again, a decent finishing position. Again, guys, I apologize for the coughs. But yeah, on that last run, Timmy was 31st, but on the last run, the 39 got back by him for getting their lap back. Timmy did manage to still finish 32nd. And ironically enough, all 38 cars did finish this race, despite, seeing on TV, the 17 of Kyle Larson did go to the garage. Very un-Kyle Larson day at Darlington, after winning at Darlington earlier this year for Colleague. Which, by the way, I forgot that even happened. I thought that was in the 17 car. I legit thought that win was in the 17 car. I forgot. It was the exact same paint scheme. So I just assumed that was a 17 car. I completely forgotten that was actually the 10 car. And Colleague got credit for that win. Completely forgot about that until they showed the replay of the finish during the broadcast. But they went to the garage for carburetor issues. And they actually did come back out and finish. I was listening to the radio because I'm like, why would you come back out and finish? I don't blame them in some ways. I guess, and this is kind of smart. You want to make sure that you've fixed the engine problem. You don't want to, obviously for the team, you don't want to have any engine issues. So you want to know that the engine is fixed before you go home. And so I guess they sent him back out there basically for just doing engine testing, which is still funny. Even in the last couple of runs, Larson was still clicking off some of the fastest laps of the race. Like, even when he's 30 laps down, you can't stop Kyle Larson from going fast. But no, all 38 cars finished this race. So I think that is the first time in Busch race, Xfinity race, Nationwide race, Grand National, first time ever that a Busch race has had every car that started the race finish the race. Now, that's up to your question. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I will say, in my personal opinion, I love the Xfinity cars. Like I said, they are the best series in NASCAR, in my personal opinion. Do I still believe they need more horsepower than 650? Yes. And I think at a track like Darlington especially. You go back and watch those old Xfinity races, those Gen 4 Xfinity cars at, 900 horsepower? It was great racing. Just feel like my personal problem is that they're going too slow. They're going too slow on a long run. That's my personal problem with the lower horsepower we have in these cars at a track like Darlington. They get too slow that when you're on a long run, yeah, they're sliding around, which is great, but they're going too slow to where the sliding around really matters. I don't know if it makes sense to you. I mean, imagine if we're doing this with like 900 horsepower in these Xfinity cars. It, in my opinion, be one of the best races of the entire year. Same goes for Cup. I'll make the same argument for Cup that I think the car is fine. We just, again, more horsepower. I'm not even saying go up to 900, 750. 750, man. Even that extra 80 horsepower would add so much. Still don't think 670 is enough. Hopefully that'll change, but likely it won't. But yeah, Denny Hamlin went on to win the race. Nobody cares about that. If you are a Denny Hamlin fan, great. If you're not a Denny Hamlin fan, well, that wasn't very popular for to see you win. Austin Hill was second. I mean, Austin Hill did his damnedest to try to hold him off, but he just kind of knew when he got by, it was going to be it. John Nemechek had the class of the field until the last part of the race, unfortunately. The highest backmarker car, again, Parker Retzlaff, he was also the star of the show. Don't really classify him as a backmarker, but wanted to give him a shout out anyway. Parker Retzlaff deserved better than 13th. He ran the top 10 almost the entire race. So shout out to Parker Retzlaff. He had a great day. Kid's a real deal. I will say this, Parker Retzlaff really is the real deal. Good kid. And what made you not be a fan anymore? I've never been a fan of Denny anyway. Parker Retzlaff, in my opinion, one of the most underrated drivers in the garage. One of the most underrated drivers, period. Great kid, a great race car driver. And as long as he's got the money behind him, he could go places. He really, really could. Yeah. Parker Retzlaff, in my opinion, real deal. You got to really go to Raja Caruth. The 45 lately has been on a huge string of great runs. I don't think the 45 Alpha Prime car has finished outside the top 20 in the last 4 races, which really tells you Alpha Prime has got speed. They do. They do have speed. It's weird. It's just you see one of their cars, go in there and finish inside the top 20, and then you look at the 44 and they don't make the show on speed. It's weird because you got one car from Alpha Prime Racing, which is, bad, fast, top 20 level speed all day, great run. And then you got the other Alpha Prime car, which can't even make the race. It's weird. Again, it's really weird. Then you got Stefan Parsons in 19th, Brennan Poole 20th, Jeremy Clements 21st, Chad Fincham 22nd, Ross Chastain only 23rd. Again, it's weird seeing Ross Chastain run in a car that we know he can't win in. That's what's so weird. We know he's good on the Cup side, but it's so weird seeing Ross Chastain run an Xfinity car that we know he can't win in. It's weird. But it's cool to see that he's doing all this for Mario Gazin when he probably doesn't have to. Joe Graf Jr. 26th, Matt Mills 27th, Ryan Ellis 29th, Kyle Weatherman 31st. They had a flat tire early, just couldn't recover. Timmy Hill 32nd, Anthony Alfredo, BJ's Xfinity team, man. They've had a rough patch as of late, sadly. Blaine Perkins 34th, seems to be where our finishes every week. Patrick Emmerling down in 35th. Josh Williams, like I said, 37th. Long day for him. Kyle Larson, he finished the race, but was last. So we move on from the Xfinity race to the Cup race. And boy, like I said, the Big Daddy Southern 500. Some great stories coming into this weekend. We had the return of Ryan Newman in the 51. Carson Hocevar was going to be in his second career Cup start, driving the 42 for Legacy Motor Club. And Chase Elliott's not in the playoffs. I know the world is ending because Chase Elliott's not in the playoffs. It's horrible. It is horrible. You can see me standing here with a great smile on my face that Chase Elliott is not in the playoffs. I am so sad that Chase Elliott is not in the playoffs, guys. I cannot tell you how upset this makes me that Chase Elliott is not in the playoffs. Oh, I am so sad about that. So sad. So sad. What do I say? Some people are just going all out in the chat. Needless to say, I'm not the biggest Chase Elliott fan. Only 36 cars, not the 43. Again, just feel like the horsepower. We need more horsepower. I know you could say, oh, that argument's tiresome. It is. Trust me, it is. But I think the argument is tiresome because you have so many fans that are so passionate about it. It's not just because we want more horsepower for the sake of it, because we honestly believe the racing will be better with more horsepower. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Same goes for ARCA. We need more than 650 horsepower in ARCA. We need more horsepower back in the truck series too. We just need more horsepower everywhere, so to say. That's what we need. More horsepower everywhere. Every series. Every series needs more horsepower. Even the horse racing needs more horsepower. Yeah, more horsepower. I don't see how it could be bad. I'm not saying it was a bad race. Still a great race. Not better than last year's. Last year's race was great. This race was just a little bit lower behind it. Mainly because the 43 won last year, but still. Long green flag run to start the race. We went the entire first stage green. The entire first stage went green. Some of the great underdog stories through that first run is Carson Hocevar ran top 20 the entire first run. Only fell out of the top 25 during pit cycles and drove back into the top 20. One of the most impressive drives I've seen by a rookie at a track like Darlington in a car like this. And first off, he not only was running well, he qualified 15th still. I mean, like I said, Legacy Motor Club definitely building some more momentum after a garbage start to the year. Maybe getting rid of Gragson was the best thing that ever happened to that 42 car, to be honest with you. Ryan Newman, though, he did a great job. He only fell one lap down in that first stint. Crew was very proud of him. Ty Dillon, his race kind of got screwed due to having to pit twice under green flag pit cycles. And guys like Michael McDowell and Ricky Stenhouse, they just struggled from the very beginning. They could not recover due to pit cycles. Like I said, for a lot of the backmarker teams that are kind of in the playoffs, like Stenhouse and McDowell, this was not the race for them. Stenhouse luckily recovered to a top 20 finish, but for Michael McDowell, I hate to say it, but it looks like Michael McDowell's playoffs hope are pretty much dead before they could really even get started or have a chance to attempt it, because, I mean, there's so many points behind now, and I just don't see this team going to win like at Kansas, or I don't see them winning at Bristol. They just don't have that kind of speed, unfortunately, but I hate that. I hate that for Michael McDowell. It's just Darlington in general. Darlington has not just been one of Michael's best tracks. And unfortunately, that starts the playoffs. So if you bomb that race, you're kind of screwed. So it sucks for them. They still got a chance. Anything can happen, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the 34 team. Hearing that Gragson will be finishing the West season and back in Vegas with Loudon Jackson. Pfft. Okay, Alex. Alex, I love you, man, but that one seems a little far-fetched. I'm not going to disprove you on that one. So supposedly from Alex in the chat, Gragson will be finishing the West Series season in Vegas with Loudon Jackson Motorsports. I want to believe that, and I could actually see that. I really could, because Noah's got nothing else to do, especially being fired by the team. I'm sure he's been in the Road to Recovery program. That's a little bit of a strong suit right there, man. But, hey, you know what? If it's true, good for Loudon Jackson, and, hey, it's something for Noah to do. But I think you're reaching a little far there with that one, Alex. Although, if you have heard that, I know, hey, if you're in negotiations and it's true, man, that'd be cool. And, I mean, like I said, there's nothing else for Noah to do right now, so cool. But, yeah, we didn't see our first DNF until unfortunately, lap 217, when everyone's favorite backmarker, BJ McLeod, unfortunately lost a motor. Now, note, BJ McLeod, his team is still the only Cup team right now that still has an in-house engine program. And I know some people are saying, well, what about their ECR support? Well, their ECR support is not very much. Their engines are simply rebuilt by ECR because they're Chevrolet motors. They are not, they don't have an ECR motor program. They're just rebuilt by ECR. So that would explain why we have not really seen an improvement in terms of overall speed, because they were the exact same way last year with Ford. They were an in-house Ford engine team. And again, that's why I feel like that's why they had even less speed than Rick Ware last year, because Rick Ware this year has a Ford alliance with RFK, whereas the 78 team, they just got no alliance. They got nothing. So sucks for BJ. Started 36, finished 36. Had a great looking car. And a lot of the BJ McLeod hate's unnecessary. Yeah, the charter, well, they haven't improved their performance. They've only digressed in performance. Well, go out there and be a next-gen cup team and tell me how it's done, guys, because I just don't feel like we can criticize all we want, but I just feel like at the end of the day, the people don't really know the whole story. I don't even know the whole story. And if you don't know the whole story, people should just stop. Sorry, guys. Again, I'm trying to get through this for you. So yeah, unfortunately, he was the first DNF, really the first DNF up until the final 100 miles. Because as we all know, in the Southern 500, like they always say with the Coca-Cola 600, the final 100 miles is the part of the race that is really the most chaotic. And boy, did that come true. Because on lap before this happened, I want to get to this. Before this happened, we were on a long green flag run from lap 237 to lap 310. We had gone through a cycle of green flag pit stops. And, of course, Ryan Newman, being everyone's favorite Ryan Newman, was holding up the 45. Now, frankly, I went back and forth with some people like this. We got to remember, this was not a Rick Ware car that was, 7 laps down, 8 laps down, holding up the leader. Ryan Newman was only 1 lap down. He was trying not to go 2 laps down. In my provision, he's got every right to race the leader as hard as he wants to, because if you stay 1 lap down, we are still in contention for the lucky dog, and you're still in contention for a good finish. So I don't blame Newman for racing him as hard as he did. Now, even in general, Newman will race you hard. But I found it so comical how Tyler Reddick could not get past Ryan Newman for over 10 laps. Absolutely could not get past him for a good 10 laps. It was so funny. Even going on the radio saying some things never change, and the one thing that never changes is Ryan Newman. That is true. Gotta love Ryan Newman. He finally got by him, even though Newman, they even made contact. He put Newman in the wall. That's how funny it was getting. He literally could not pass this guy. Finally gets past him. Second place, Kevin Harvick. Grandpa Harvick, who everybody, in my opinion, wanted to see win because, it would have been one of the great feel-good stories of the season because we all want to see Kevin get one last win. I'm not the biggest Kevin Harvick fan, but even I wanted to see him get a win just for his last year. He was gaining like crap on the 45 from like 3 seconds back. And so the 45 finally gets by the 51. And, of course, Newman makes it a little easier for second place, Harvick to get past. Harvick, he gets there, but then he kind of stalls out. The gap starts to get a little bit bigger. Newman, I believe, actually, I don't know if he was behind the 45 or was behind the 4. I'm not sure. The 45 was popping out of gear. Well, still, I would still say that was kind of funny seeing the 51 in front of the 45 that long. But then Harvick tries to throw the game block. He dives for pit road, and was going to make it to pit road. And then for some strange reason, the only thing I can think of, like what the commentator said, was the 45 saw this and tried to make a late dash onto pits. Unfortunately, instead of going down off the track, he just stopped right in the middle of the track. And the 51, with all the awareness he had, managed to not hit him and spun out. So unfortunate crash for Ryan Newman. I mean, not crash, but spin for Ryan Newman. But absolutely one of the dumbest things I have seen this entire year. Tyler Reddick has been in NASCAR for almost 10 years at this point. You should not be doing something that stupid. Absolutely at all. Oh boy, the chat's getting really weird now. Huh. But yeah, still, in my opinion, that was one of the dumbest things I've seen out of Tyler Reddick, man. You don't just stop in the middle of the racetrack. I mean, he is so lucky there was not a car that was closer to him. He would have gotten complete. He's lucky that was a rookie. It completely screwed Kevin Harvick. Now, rightfully, Kevin kind of screwed himself by actually making the pit stop, but they didn't know if they were penalized or not. So they just went ahead and made the pit stop. It was something just incredibly stupid and easily avoidable. I mean, the 45, you're better than that. If you wanted to make a last-minute a last-ditch attempt to get to pit road, fine. But get off the track. Get off the track. Don't just stop right in the middle of the damn track. Here comes the 51 with a full head of steam. And thank God Newman turned the car. We would have had a horrible crash. So it's like, I mean, honestly, at that point, I didn't want the 45 to win. I'm like, you idiot. Like, come on, Tyler, you're better than that. You're a seasoned veteran of the sport. And I'm like, with all due respect, I know there's not necessarily a rule for that, or where he could have gotten penalized, but there was like a 100% rule on track. You could have penalized the 45 for it, because the fact that the 45 just got away scot-free with doing something like that, in my opinion, was stupid. And yet the poor 4 car had to reap the stupid benefits. So, so yeah, it's just that whole situation was so stupid. And boy, did it just open up the floodgates for absolute chaos to come after this. So yeah, after that crash happened, Newman then almost lost a wheel. Thankfully, it came back off on pit road, so there was no real penalty for them. But 3 laps later, we had the other dumbest moment of the race with Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez. Alex Bowman blocking like an idiot and causing a crash. And then a couple laps later, we had the sort of big crash of the race. We had 2 Gibbs cars. By this point, Denny Hamlin had done the natural Denny Hamlin thing, taking himself out of a win by making an unscheduled pit stop due to what he assumed was a loose wheel. The team said it was not a loose wheel. But obviously, even though I don't like Denny, I'll believe the driver's words over the team, because if the driver says a loose wheel, I'm going to go with the driver. There probably was a loose wheel. The team just doesn't want to admit it. But he was involved in the crash with Christopher Bell, so they're a couple of playoff guys right there. Kyle Busch as well, and both of the Front Row Motorsports cars. And it wiped out Michael McDowell. So, ouch. Like I said, 32nd place finish for Michael McDowell, man. But yeah, so 31 cars ended up finishing the race. It was just absolute chaos in that last run. Despite, making a late race charge, Kyle Larson, man, the man of the hour. Kyle Larson wins the Southern 500. So good for Kyle Larson, man. Good for him. He is pretty cool, man. Like Kyle Larson. Kind of weird. You finish last in the Xfinity race and you go on to win the Cup race. Wonder how many times that's happened. Tyler Reddick ended up second. Another RFK double top 10, which was great to see. Eric Jones got 10th. Ricky Stenhouse recovered to 16th. Carson Hocevar got 17th. A great run for him. Corey LaJoie got a decent 22nd. But everyone else just the other backmarkers kind of floundered. J.J. Yaley had some unscheduled green flag pit stops, which hurt his run. Ty Dillon, the same thing. Ryan Newman in 27 was kind of the best run. At this stage, with how well the 42 is running, I'm officially eliminating him from the top 33 charter battle. And I think we're officially going to put it with the 15, 77, and the 51 battling amongst themselves. Right now, what I think I could see happening is Rick Ware sacrificing the 15, which was locked in. I think Rick Ware might keep the 15 out of the top 33, put the 51 in, so that way they could still have 2 cars next year. And then the 15's charter would be up for grabs next year. So Rick Ware could potentially still have 2 cars next year. Remember that. I think they're still deciding on what they're going to do with that other charter. Yes, hard to believe there was at one point that Ty Dillon was actually the fastest car on track for 30 laps with real information to back it up. So, yeah. Shows you how weird that race was. But Darlington was good. Overall, was a very good race. Very fun weekend. Could 77 finish top 33? It couldn't. Like I said, guys, this top 33 charter battle is going to come down to the wire. I don't think this battle will be 100% decided until that checkered flag is flown in Phoenix. So we've seen that the stronger suit for Rick Ware is the smaller tracks. The 77 appears to have more speed on the bigger tracks. We did see a solid 23rd place finish out of Yaley earlier this year. So maybe Yaley can do something, but Cole Custer is in the 51, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, we'll see where that goes. But anyway, we'll transfer into Kansas. I give last-minute thoughts on Darlington. I give the weekend as a whole a solid 8 out of 10. Good weekend in Darlington. So now we move on to the Truck Series at Kansas. Yes, all 3 series will be there along with ARCA, so it's going to be a very busy weekend. I will be there. After all with Hill Motorsports on Friday and MBM Motorsports on Saturday. Only 36 trucks, no DNQs, but a pretty wild entry list nonetheless. 02 truck is currently TBA, nobody in the truck yet. Spencer Davis is going to be in the 04 truck. Remember him? He owned his own organization that unfortunately went belly up. He's back in the 04. Jennifer Jo Cobb. Yes, that Jennifer Jo. Who doesn't love some Jennifer Jo Cobb? She is back. First start since Talladega last year. And she's locked into the show because there's only 36 trucks entered. Good to see her back in racing. That'll put 2 women in the field. Greg Van Alst, of course, in the 20. Hopefully he can finally finish a race. I mean, it's just been so bad for him. Mason Maggio in the 22. Chase Janes in the 33. We got Bailey Curry's in the 41. No G2G racing. So it's kind of interesting. G2G had 2 trucks in this race. So again, sorry guys. But G2G had 2 trucks in this race back in May. And this race they don't have any. So sucks to see G2G not there. Jack Wood, of course. Timmy Hill is going to be in the 56 this weekend. Tyler had been driving the last couple weeks. Jake Drew in the 61. Good to see him make another intermediate start. And Justin Carroll. Again, always good to see Justin Carroll in the field. So, yeah, nobody will go home, so no DNQs to talk about. Some of the Truck Series battles to talk about is that everlasting top 20 end-of-year bonus battle for the owners. Again, you must compete in all races to be eligible for it. So the number 1 Tricon truck is ineligible because they, again, they did not compete in 2 races this year. Hard to believe that the 1 truck hasn't actually competed in all the races this year, but they've actually missed 2 of them. Yet, despite missing 2 races, they still sit 19th. But right now, the trucks that hold the final 2 positions are the 2 GMS trucks, the 24 and the 43, with the 13, 9, and 56 looking in. The 13 and the 9 pretty far behind, but it's still recoverable. Some things just have to go their way. Darlington, Kansas is kind of an interesting track in terms of the way you race each other. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. It's hard to believe, like I said, the 1 truck was supposed to be part-time at the start of the season. It's weird. This truck that was supposed to be part-time, maybe 10 races, is now run all but 2 races this year. So it's cool to see Tricon expanding this much. Kind of like the old DGR Crosley days. I remember when DGR Crosley at one point ran 5 trucks for 2 straight weekends. But yeah, we'll be there. We got the Flames truck. It's going to be a badass looking truck. Blue Flames with the units colors. My dad's going to be there with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, follow along on the Twitter account for all that. Got the Hill Motorsports shirt on for this show. So yeah, follow on the Twitter for all that fun stuff. Going to be great to see the guys again. It's going to be one of those interesting races. The last year's Kansas race was quite crazy. We had the big one, which wiped out a lot of trucks. Unfortunately for us, we got nearly turned around on a restart, couldn't recover, only got 22nd. We deserved better. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on our side back in May, but hey, that's racing, man. You know, we tried to play a gamble, just didn't work out for us, but hey, still had a clean truck, and that's kind of what at the end of the day, that's really what mattered. But yeah, there was a demolition derby crash at some point. So if you can expect one thing out of these truck races at Kansas, and it's the one thing I've always said, the truck races at Kansas are either clean with no crashes, or it's an absolute chaos crash fest. That's how these truck races usually go. It's either no crashes, long green flag runs, or it's just absolute madness. So I'm curious on what kind of truck race we're going to be getting this weekend. Long green flag runs and fuel mileage, or absolute chaos. Honestly, guys, I'm kind of in between. I love absolute chaos, but I also love me some long green flag runs. So it goes either way for me. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We got Jesse Love. He's going to be making his Truck Series debut. Is this his debut? I think he was supposed to drive Gateway, but he had to sit out due to health issues. Tony Breidinger ended up driving that truck. Is this Jesse's first truck start, or am I missing that? No, did he run Gateway? Oh, he did run Gateway. That's right. He was in the 11. That's right. He was in the 11. It was Heim who was ill. Man, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Again, that was so long ago. I got mixed up. Yes, you're right. It was Corey Heim that was ill, and Tony was put in the one truck which Jesse was supposed to drive. That's right. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you guys for that correction. Yes, so that was the story. He was put in the 11, and Tony was brought in to drive the one because Jesse was in the 11. Okay, so this will be his first time actually driving the truck he was supposed to drive, the number one. Jesse will also be in the ARCA race, so for him, it'll be a long day. Be pulling double duty. I think there's an open race, man. Grant Enfinger won the race here in the spring. Man, I tell you, got a lot of heavy hitters in this race. I don't know who to pick for a race winner's pick, so I'm going to go out on a limb. I am going to take Zane Smith as my pick. In my dark horse, I am going to take Enfinger. I'm going to go take Grant Enfinger as my dark horse pick. What do you guys pick in the chat? I'm taking Zane Smith and Grant Enfinger as my dark horse. So I don't know who you guys are going to pick in the chat, but that's who I'm taking. I think it's going to be a good race overall. I mean, like I said, we got a solid list of trucks here. No starting parks, like I said, because that's kind of frowned upon at this point in the stage. Like I said, hopefully the boys at Hill Motorsports will have a good piece for us this weekend. We got the units colors on the truck, so usually when the units colors are on the truck, we always have a decent run when the units colors are on the truck. We got some underdog picks for Love. We got Corey Heim picks, Carson Hocevar picks. Lots of the same picks that I was thinking, guys. Yep, Hocevar. I don't think Daniel Dye will win, but Hocevar is not a bad pick. So, yeah, lots of Carson Hocevar, Enfinger, Corey Heim. Yeah, lots of good choices, guys. I think we're pretty much all in the same bracket. I think it's going to be a fun race because, again, it's playoffs, man, so there's going to be more incentive. Sanchez, yeah, that's also a good choice. No, don't say Greg Van House DNF. We don't want a Greg Van House. No Greg Van House hating this chat. Though, yeah, at this point, can Greg Van House just please finish a race? God dang, man. I have never seen someone's NASCAR career go this bad. And it's not even his fault. That's this weird part about all this. You know, you're like, oh, you're defending him too much. Okay, tell me, are any of Greg's crashes he's been in his fault? No, they have not been his fault. Oh, you're trying to reverse jinx. Yes. Yes, that's true. That is true. Reverse jinx would be nice. Because, please, I just want Greg to finish a race. Yeah, so that's the truck race. For Xfinity, the Kansas Lottery 300, we got 40 cars for 38 spots. A lot of the same entries. We got the four be driven this week by Garrett Smithley. Dawson Cram will be in the 07. Mason Massey will be in the 08. Derek Krause will be in the 10 because remember, Cup drivers are now ineligible to drive as the playoffs are here. Cup playoffs, I mean. Joe Graf Jr. is in the 19 for Gibbs. Mosack is back in the 24. He'll be doing double duty, running ARCA in there as well. CJ McLaughlin is in the 28. Yes, CJ McLaughlin returns to RSS Racing, which means Kyle Sieg will drive the 29. Will drive the 29 car. So 4 RSS cars for this race. The 35 will be driven by Joey Gase. Of course, he's from Iowa. So this is kind of his home race in some ways since they don't run Iowa anymore. Nick Leitz from the Truck Series. Yes, he's only made a couple starts for Rayom, but he will be driving the 38 for RSS. Leland Honeyman will be in the 44 for Alpha Prime. Matt Mills will be in the 53 again. Timmy, of course, will be in the 66 again. Nobody is currently listed in the 74 for CHK. Would not shock me if that car does withdraw. And Kyle Weatherman is in the 91. So for all the Kyle Weatherman fans, he's still racing. He's just in a different car. So, yeah, we got a pretty interesting entry list right there. CJ McLaughlin will be in the show. It's kind of funny. Watch CJ McLaughlin take a car that can run top 10 and run 28th with it. It was just, CJ's a great guy, but man, he's bad. I mean, he takes a car that can run top 10 and runs like crap. So there's no defending that. I think the 74 will probably withdraw. I don't see with Dawson in the 07. I don't know who else is available for them. Maybe Brennan Poole. Oh, that's right. He's in the 6. Done. Never mind. I don't know who else would be available to drive that could honestly get that car on the show. So it wouldn't shock me if they just withdraw. I'm going to put the 74 on my DNQ list anyway. But this next one, man, is going to be hard. Timmy's got lots of experience at Kansas. Personally, I think the 66 will make the show. My other DNQ pick, and I don't want to say this, but at the same time, I just feel like with how the speed has gone, my pick for the DNQ is actually the 44, unfortunately. I think, unfortunately, the 44 of Leland Honeyman Jr., no disrespect to the 44 team, but I think Leland's lack of experience is going to hurt him. And that's why, unfortunately, he is my pick for the DNQ. I think Dawson will make the show. I think Dawson will make the show, but I don't think the 44 will go home. I think the 44 goes home. If the 44 makes it in, I think the 07 goes home. So I would say either 44 or 07, but the 74 is definitely a lock to go home. But it's going to be fun. Like I said, I'll be there with MBM nonetheless. So you might not see a lot of live tweets because obviously when we're working, we can't be on our phones. So might not be doing that much live tweeting during qualifying, but I'll definitely be keeping up the track while I'm there. Hopefully, like I said, Timmy can get our car in the show. Hey, I mean, if Mike wants me to drive to 74, I'll do it. I'll do it for free. I will do it for free. Mike, I've got no experience at Kansas, but rest assured, I will try my best, and I'll still be faster than Jennifer Jo Cobb. And probably CJ McLaughlin, too. I would bet I can outrun CJ McLaughlin in the 74 car if I could make the show. Yes. Could I actually do that? Probably not. But you know what? I would love to see if I could do that one day. Chris Wright, he'd probably crash me. But you know what? I would love to drive the 74. Mike Harmon, we follow each other on Twitter. Give me a call. Oh, Jesus. No, Chris Wright would absolutely wreck the crap out of me. Yeah. Oh, boy. It's fun to have dreams, guys. You never know. One day it might happen, but I definitely need the financials to do it. I don't have that kind of money. I'm sure Brayden would love to do it. But yeah, my pick for this race, these Xfinity races, they always go both ways. You know, Noah Gragson was so dominant at this track, it's kind of hard to pick another guy. You know, and there's no Cup drivers in the field. I mean, technically, Cole Custer is a Cup driver, but he's driving for Rick Ware, so I don't really count. Plus, he's part-time. Sheldon Creed's also in the Cup race as well. Man, looking at this entry list, man, who is going to win? I tell you guys, it's a really open book. I don't see who's going to win. Noah Gragson, he won this race last year. The race only went 71 laps last year because of rain. So, God, I'm actually going to go with Cole Custer as my pick to win this race. I'm going to go with Cole Custer. My dark horse, Chandler Smith. Let's go with Chandler. So my pick to win the race is Cole Custer. My dark horse is Chandler Smith. That's my guess. Yeah, so maybe if whatever you guys want to pick. We see some Josh Berry picks in the chat. Long shot is Kraus. Joe Graff Jr., I don't know if he'll win. I mean, he's got a great car under him, but I don't know if Joe will win. He might have a good shot at a top 10, though. Looks like we got some John Hunter Nemechek picks. That's not bad either. He won there in 2018, driving for Ganassi. So we got a lot of John Hunter picks. I think that's also a great pick. We know Joe Gibbs is really good at this track. They've won a lot of races at Kansas. Well, no. Alfredo, I don't know about that one. Algar, that's a good choice. Remember, no Cup drivers. No full-time Cup drivers in this race because of the playoffs. So no Ty Gibbs. Brandon Jones, got a good pick there. Brandon Jones, he won this race back in twice, 2019 and 2020, I believe he won this race. So yeah, Brandon Jones. Ryan Sieg, that's an underdog choice, but not bad. So yeah, some decent choices here for wins, but I'm going to stick to my guns. Yeah, Brandon Jones, shock win to make the playoffs. Well, Gragson's not in sports. That ain't happening. But yeah, I'm going to stick with my picks. Chandler Smith is my dark horse, and Cole Custer is my primary. Then we move on to the Big Daddy, the Cup race. Only 36 cars. J.J. Ailey's still in the 15. Ryan Newman, not in the 51 this week. Cole Custer is in the 51. Carson Hocevar continues to stay in the 42. And Sheldon Creed, yes, Sheldon Creed will be in the 78 for LiveFest Motorsports. I expect this to be a RCR car off the floor, but that'll be run by LiveFest Motorsports. George Ingram, the usual crew chief for the 78, is still going to be heading this operation. So it's probably just an RCR car off the floor. Like I said, that our LiveFest Motorsports will be just operating it. So cool for Sheldon to get his first start going, man. That'll be cool for BJ. 78 might finally get a good run. Needs it bad. J.J. Ailey, he finished top 25 here in the spring on raw speed. So 15's got a shot at a good run. Can Cole Custer give it the 51 a good run? I don't know. I preferably, I would have put Cole in the 15 and JJ in the 51 because we have seen that 77 team run better lately. In terms of who's going to win the race, I tell you, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I am gonna give a really shocking pick. I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson to win. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson to win this race. I think Kyle Larson's gonna go 2 for 2. And my dark horse pick for this one, as long as he doesn't get wrecked by Denny Hamlin again, because I hope that doesn't happen again. But I'm going to go with Larson to win. And I'm going to go with Truex as my dark horse pick to win. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a crazy one. A lot of playoff drivers wrecked out in last year's race. So I think all the races are going to be chaos. It's going to be a very fun weekend. Hopefully I'm 100% for it because, as you can tell, I'm still not 100% healthy right now. We got upset picks. Bubba, Brad K win, Christopher Bell, more Bubba picks. Again, not bad. Bubba won this race last year, so it's not shocking to see picks for Bubba. Ty Gibbs, that's not a bad choice either. So a couple more picks here real quick, and then we'll get can we just put J.J. Ailey back in the 11? I wish. Yeah, I'll probably get another interview with J.J. Ailey again if I can. He's on the bucket list for interviews. Chris Buescher, again, that's not a bad choice. He did win an Xfinity race here, so that's not a bad choice. How many C4s did I tell today at the gas station? At least 15. Reddick, good choice. Oh, yeah, I'll be in the ARCA garage. I'll be working the ARCA race with Brad. Not the whole day, just the race itself, because obviously for the truck series, we got some downtime. So I will be doing the ARCA race with Brad, but just the race. Once the race is over, I'm just walking right back to the truck series hauler. So, yeah, I wish I could do the whole day with Brad, but I got prior commitments with Timmy Hill. But thankfully, I will be doing that at least to help Brad. All right, yeah, guys, I'm not feeling the best. Otherwise, we'd probably keep going for another 20 minutes to talk. But I'm going to get out of your hairs, guys, because I got to go take some meds and get my nose figured out. I don't know what's going on with me, guys. So I'm going to see. I don't know what's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Oh, but so long, guys. I got to get out of here. I'll see you on Thursday, live at 7 p.m. for the ARCA Racing podcast from my hotel room. I'll live from the hotel room. You guys will be watching the ARCA Racing podcast on Thursday, so please join me there on Thursday, guys. I love y'all. Have a great rest of your Tuesday night. I'm going to try to get better, and yeah, take care. Colby Evans starting park car, giving you the final salute. Goodbye.